Kaskalengut nagararan agatina chitap kalenjin enu chukule gerin gatesiet na bo Nenyon TV. Baroindo ne negen yata chini Logoiywekab Emet en koindo kay Nenyon ko Daisy Langat. Getone logoiwechu ole nitan go betut agenge kotab ko kontileta kap kirwaga kotingi agistart na impeachment nata na bari Rigathi Gachagua en baroindo nata na bari yuata na president nege moch ko suldain bunga nata na barorak bunga na senate en kenyit na go sitoya kugago mange Rigathi Gachagua akone de kitran nata ne moagule magi moch ke gusigong maguti ke kana magi moch ke gusigong ke gergele ke moch ko agapto batoy ang ngatu ke bakati ba ne ba imani istoy nin baroindo na bari yuata na president ko subke Gachagua go magula telet na go moch ko gon kirwag sumogo en kap kirwag na milemani en betot na ba motam ko notan na mai tayat en magule mangaiti na go ngem ne imandani notan ba go suldain de to ka cha bola teta agot ko notan go mo Rigathi Gachagua gole mamiten ka history ana impeachment notan ge moch ke suldain ka batan ge moch ke jutti inaya en te to ka cha bola teta agot ko notan go gi Rigathi Gachagua gole wendi ko tete te to ka ba gole kai moch ko we agot ti go rachi agenge the
50 million Kenya shillings awarded to me is an insult to my fundamental rights and freedoms and a mockery of the Constitution. We are not interested. Money was never the issue here. Justice and constitutional supremacy was. I am one Kenyan leader who will not and cannot be swayed by promises of money to allow violation of the Constitution. I stand as a matter of principle to protect constitutional rights and defend the Constitution. This is an oath that I saw, and Kenyans know me for that. If I was interested in money, Mr. William Ruto had offered me 2 billion Kenya shillings in an effort to entice me avoid impeachment and choose resignation. But I stood for my rights and I strongly observed that the impeachment process was found faulty by the three-judge bench for failure to respect my right to fair hearing in the violation of Article 25, 47 and 50 of the Constitution. Once that determination was made, the entire process collapsed and was null and void. There was no impeachment. There was a constitutional coup, an abuse to the people of independent Kenya. The three-judge bench was obligated by operation of the law on determination or violation of the Constitution to set aside the impeachment. The decision by the bench to then purport to uphold the impeachment in the face of its decision or violation of the Constitution is in itself a violation and derogation of its responsibility under Article 165. Decisions made in violation of the Constitutions are null and void. Lord Denning in Macfoy declared that if an act is void, then it is, in law, a nullity. It is not only bad, but incurably bad. You cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stay there. It will collapse. How then would a three-judge bench argued that the non-derogable right to fair trial was violation in the impeachment process? Then they turned around and tell the Kenyan people that regardless, the impeachment was valid. What a paradox. Dear Kenyans, we recall that on 31st October 2024, while setting aside conservatory orders issued by the High Court, this very bench gave an undertaking in open court that there did not exist any violation without remedy or outside the reach of the court. They further argued that in the event and as a consequence of setting aside the protective conservatory orders, they determined that if the impeachment process was unconstitutional, they would reverse any actions.
Kosipke agandu detana tena ba chama tena ba DCP Rigathi Gachagua go moagole tele tena tena go moch ko gon kirwa kina bagele banene chepkondo million konom ko ma ka ga tena tena ba chepkondo gine gena ka baten ibaro sa sitet ene moagole go moch ki juti imanda nyina ko tinge akatiba ne ba imone.
So, and Kenyans know me for that. If I was interested in money, Mr. William Ruto had offered me 2 billion Kenya shillings in an effort to entice me avoid impeachment and choose resignation. But I stood for my rights and that of over 7 million Kenyans who voted for me. I rejected this offer and faced the National Assembly. This is in public domain. No offer, no amount of money can stand between me, my rights, and the rights of the citizens of Kenya under the Constitution. So if I could reject 2 billion, offering me 50 million is a serious joke.
Ketagemi en logoiwek choton ko kosipke ak tilet noton nekoimuch kokon kapkirwok en betut nebo mutam. Kotestai biikab emet kokon kerenywan kotinygei ak tilet nekoimuch kokon kapkirwok kotinygei ak istoet nebo Rigathi Gachagua en boroindo noton nebo rubeiwot nebo president. Kosipke ak ogiliot Kipkoech Ngetich komwoe kole tilet nekoimuch kokon kapkirwok kotindoi rerunet neo ak takochang tebutik chenyolu kowal kapkirwok kou eng noton komiten kamuget nebo Rigathi Gachagua kwa agoi kapkirwok neo nebo Supreme Court.
Kwa ogiliot nekuitos ng'alekab katiba chebo emetab Kenya amache amwa ale very clear amun ngoba High Court Justices Ogolla, Frida Mugambi koboto Justice Murima ngot ko mure wiyan yon kole manyor a fair hearing Rigathi Gachagua neki Deputy President nebo emetab Kenya. Yon kainyoru ile manyor a fair hearing kai confirm ine ko under article 165 nebo katiba nebo Kenya ko konyolu komwa kole kage question impeachment inoton ngot kikochi damages ko chamdo article 22 nebo katiba nebo Kenya amwa kou noton amun the right to a fair hearing under article 49 ak 50 nebo katiba nebo Kenya ko makibose makichuchuche lazima kikochi chito a fair hearing kikole senate konu baornatet bichu tugul konu senate konu bunge baornatenywan akonyo ko baornatenyin akine Rigiji lakini kingakemwa kele kamyan Rigiji ako kimakomiten time missing nekilelen kele kiloboti amun mamiten time limit ni soman in article 145 akoi article 150 chebo katiba nebo Kenya so ko konyolu ke question impeachment ini komakomi acha kole High Court in makikochi right to a fair hearing makikochi manyor due process Rigathi Gachagua akitya kokeny komwa kole makiquestioning makidisturbing ng'alekab impeachment ini so atinye shida en uamuzi non kobo High Court nekokole kakinyoru man kimi makosa en ng'alechu bo impeachment makikochi chichi nafasi neyome koib baornatenyin konyor kou nondo non ko kit nekakiyai kinyume cha katiba konyolu kemwa kele null and
En kasaratan koimuch komongei kasubiik choton chebo Rigathi Gachagua en county nebo Nakuru akobor kaimetabgei kosipkei ak nemwoe kole maimuch koboiboenchi tilet nekoimuch kokon kapkirwok ak moche en inguni inendet kosokyigei Court of Appeal asikocheng konyor imandanyin.
When we did the petition hatukuwa tunasimama na Gachagua kwa sababu tulitaka yeye mwenyewe kama mtu binafsi aweze kupewa haki, lakini tulitaka kuona Kenya ambayo is governed by the rule of law na justice inafanyika kwa kila Mkenya kama jinsi inavyostahili. Yesterday was a disappointing day to me kwa sababu nilifuata judgment kuanzia wakati walianza mpaka usiku. Wakafungua vitabu, sijui kama ilikuwa ni kitabu cha uzima ama ilikuwa ni nini, lakini ilikuwa ni upuzi mtupu. Kuna mambo ambayo niliweza kunoti katika hiyo judgment. Jambo la kwanza, judges walidefend the national speaker of the National Assembly wakisema ya kwamba hata kama tuliona kwamba hakika alihusika directly kwa mambo ya kusupport impeachment, wanasema ya kwamba hakuhusika.
Kuanzia ile 3 bench judges kukuja kwa Senate, kukuja kwa Parliament, kukuja nao kwa judiciary, vile walikuwa wakiendesha hiyo maneno, it was clear that Gachagua hakuimpichiwa vile ilivyostahili kulingana na katiba ya Kenya.
Keistoege logoiwek choton ko niton ko kaimuch komongei neki kansela en kasartagen kebeberta nebo tilet noton ko David Sitienei akoboiboenchi tilet noton nekoimuch kokon kapkirwok kotinygei ak istoet noton nebo Rigathi Gachagua en mwoe kole kikisub arorutik tugul chemakat en katiba nebo emoni. Ngenyorun kaindab logoiwek chekobon sirindenyon Ruben Korir.
Kosubkei ak tilet nekoimuch kotil kapkirwok netoror nebo emoni kole kikimuch kisib arorutik chenyolunotin en kasarta nekikimuch kiisto Rigathi Gachagua komi rubeiwotab president nebo emoni kokakomwogei neki kansela nebo tinet David Sitienei akoboiboenchi tilanoton en mwaet kole koimuch kosib arorutik chenyolunotin kapkirwok en kasarta nekoisuldoen boisionoton.
Kongoi kotini en tilet nekotil ko kiramutan kele miten chachisiek cheyoe kasit en Kenya, so kelelen koyaak imanit. Ako kikamwa Gachagua kole kit nekomong en kotini ayoni, kwamut kokakomong kit en kotini kele kakoyaak kouni ak kouni, ko kikamwa kole ayoni ko lazima koyan kounoton kikamwaita. Kit nekisome Gachagua kokoyan kit nekotil kotini akomwochi biik kolenji imanit koyaak komi kou na kou ak kibur kou noto.
Akot kounoton ko kaimuch kokon kurset nekim inendet koityi kebeberta nechigili serikali koker kole kaimuch kosib ortinwek chenyolunotin en kasarta nechigili boisionikab serikali ole makat en icheket koistoengei atebet neboisien neranik kong'em tetutik chebo kalyet ak nesire keboisien kapkirwok nebo emoni kocheng imanda.
So kasome biik opposition konai kole emoni ko nyonet tugul ako kimoche lon indoi chito chitugul kekoi nafas koyai kasit, lakini ngot komiten kit nekoker kole mochobok konon ko kaikai chobok nekoi kole mochobok iwendi kotit itinyakiwe kotit nebo imwa ile
Kosubkei ak tilet nekoimuch kotil kapkirwok netoror nebo emoni kole kikimuch kisib arorutik chenyolunotin en kasarta nekikimuch
Keistoegei logoichoton bunu county nebo Nakuru ketokchinigei county nebo Nandi ole kakomach senata nebo county nebo Nandi Samson Cherargei sikikosich atebet nekararan asikobit koik kaborunet en lagokwak. Kong'ololi en komosta nebo Mosoriot county nebo Nandi komwa Cherargei kole nyolu kikochi kanisosiek boroindo nebo kotikon lagok missing ko en kasarta noton nekokitestai keborionji yautik choton chebo atebosiek chemoititoyotin chebo lagok chekokeborionji kobele sukulisiek. Ngenyorun Elwin Sharop.
Kacher Senator Cherargei sigik kosich atebet nemie asikosuben lagokwak atebenoto kararan.
I think this is more of a peer pressure, lakini sitaki kulaumu wanafunzi wetu na watoto wetu. Sisi wazazi ndio tuko na makosa. Kwa sababu, mnajua kwa sababu ni nini? Saa ile hatutaki kitu, tunaenda barabara, unapata watu wanachoma maduka ya wenyewe, wanafunga barabara, wanafunga nini. Sasa si watoto watajifunza kwa wazazi. So sisi wazazi tukuwe na discipline kwanza.
Katesine kole nyolu kikimit department nebo guidance and counseling en sukulishek ak kikochi baraindo kanisosiek asikobit kotikon lagok.
Na ukiona mashule yenye inakuwa sponsored by faith base, you don't see indiscipline cases. Counseling teachers lazima tukuwe na department. Mambo ya chaplain wapewe nafasi mzuri kuwahubiria na hata kama si Wakristo pia Waislamu wapewe nafasi so that tuwalishe watoto wetu. Mambo ya kuita chaplain, sema tu, omba tu. A chaplain hapana, tuko tunataka kwenda kufanya hesabu. Sasa hata ukienda kuona hesabu na unafundisha mtu mwenye anakuja kuchoma inchi itasaidia? Si afadhali tuunde character.
Kaikimit Cherargei kole magat eng TSC kolipan kandoikab kanisa chetelelchin sukulishek.
So we must agree that the faith-based church, including the ACK church, must be given the rightful position kwa Ministry of Education. And they must be given resources. Hata nataka niulize TSC, ACK, Catholic na hii faith-based wakituma chaplain kwa shule, apewe mshahara kama mwalimu wa TSC ndio aendelee kufanya kazi yake. Ndio makosa ikipatikana shule tunakuja kuuliza venerable iliendaje na tulikulipa mshahara. Tunajua iko mishahara mingi mbinguni, lakini hii lazima wapewe ndio wasaidie nini wanafunzi wetu. Ama nyinyi mnataka mwanafunzi yako na yeye na ana tabia.
Kongetege county nebo Nandi, logoiywekab emet chebo Nenyon TV, kainenyu ko Elwin Cherop.
Kongoi missing asiri Nenyon Elwin Cherop kobun county nebo Nandi ngechokengei county nebo Narok. Lekaimuch kotuyogei sigik, konetik ak kipsomaninik chebo sukulit nebo primary nebo Ilturoto nemiten Narok North. Ole niton ko tetutiet noton nebo kolset nebo ketik oret agenge nebo kerib itondo nebo emet. Niton ko campaign noton nekaimuch kondochi kibagenget noton nebo Cereal Growers Association en kibagenge ak free ole niton konoisechin biikab emet kamanutiet noton nebo keker kele akimuch kegol ketik missing ko en kasarta nekitestai keboronjin ropta. Oret agenge nebo ketimaket nebo President William Ruto nebo keker kele kakimuch kegol ketik bilion 15 koite kenyit nebo 2030.
And they have sensitized us on how to plant and also take care of the trees, especially the fruit trees that will be of great help to our learners. They have learned how to grow the trees and take care of them, and maybe in years to come it will help them so much.
Why we are sensitizing farmers on growing trees, growing agroforestry trees that helps in improving the soil fertility and also mitigating climate change. The app that is helping farmers to understand how we are supposed to grow trees as per the agroecological zones right tree, right place, and also how to record and monitor the survival rates of these trees.
Washikadau pia wamekuja kutuelimisha namna ya kuitambua aina ya miti ambao unaweza panda kwa mahali ambao mtu uko, ili tusije tukapanda miti ambao haielewani na environment yetu. Na hiyo Jasa Miti app naona kwamba wananchi wanachangamkia kweli kweli, na wameweza kuelewa, ambayo itawasaidia kumonitor ile miti ambayo tunapanda kama inafanya vizuri.
Tuendelee kwa upanzi wa miti kwa sababu nchi bila miti haikai vizuri. Kwa hivyo in our lives
Taban logoiywek choton ko kagomage kandoik chebo dinit nebo Islam kobun county nebo Nakuru akomwa kole bendi koboisie icheket anan en kibagenge ak kandoik chebo dinisiek alak asikokanaptai lewenisiet nebo kandoik chebo iman en oret agenge newendi kotoreti anan kotere musmuset nebo rabisiek chebo emet. Kong'ololi kandoik choton en kasarta nekatuiyogei ak alak en kandoik chebo kanisa koboisien kasaratan kocher sigik koker kole kaimuch korikyi lagokwak oret agenge nebo keker kele kanyor atebet nemie noton oret agenge nebo keker kele kaimuch konyorchigei ichek atebet nemie asikeistoegei yautik chekoketestai kebouronji chebo belet nebo sugulisiek.
Si wito wetu kama Waislamu na wakereketwa wa nchi yetu ya Kenya, tunaipenda nchi yetu na tunapenda pia wenzetu wananchi wa Kenya. Katika vuguvugu hili la siasa tunavyokwenda, kwanza tungependa kuhubiri amani. Amani ni kitu kizuri sana. Tuheshimu nchi yetu ya Kenya na tuheshimu wananchi wa Kenya. Siasa zetu zisiwe ni siasa za matusi, zisiwe ni siasa za chuki, zisiwe ni siasa za vita na kuleta matatizo katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Hiyo ndio wito wetu wa kwanza. Alafu wito wetu wa pili, katika kuchagua viongozi, kweli tungependa sana kuchagua viongozi ambao si wafisadi. Hata Mwenyezi Mungu anatuambia kwenye Qur'ani, inna Allaha la yuhibbul musrifin. Mwenyezi Mungu hapendi watu ambao wanafanya ufisadi na ubadhilifu na kuharibu ile sifa ya uongozi, kwa sababu uongozi unatokana na Mwenyezi Mungu. Yeye ndio anayeumba, kama nilivyotangulia kusema ile aya. Yeye ndio anaumba na yeye ndio anachagua. Na endapo kutatokea ufisadi, sio upendo wa Wakenya. Wakenya wangependa kupata kiongozi ambaye kiongozi ambaye ni kiongozi mwadilifu, ambaye sio mbaguzi, kiongozi ambaye angewahudumia Wakenya pasi na kujali dini zao wala kabila zao. Hiyo ndio nia ya Wakenya. Lakini kwa bahati mbaya wale tunawachagua hatujui yale yanayokuwa ndani ya roho zao ama wana mipango gani. Sasa wakati wanaingia kule, tunaona wanabadilika na wanakuwa na mwenendo tofauti na yale malengo ambayo walikuwa wakiyasema wao na matarajio ya Wakenya.
Wazazi wanatakana tuongeleshe watoto na tuweze kuelekeza watoto na sana sana katika imani ya dini. Wawe ni watoto wa Kikristo ama ni watoto wa Kiislamu, wote wanatakana wawe katika imani.
Logoiywek alak ko kakokimit rubeiwotab president en emoni Professor Kithure Kindiki kole kakomuch konde serikali kakwautik chebo kiwang yautik choton chebo wechet nebo malik chebo sugul noton ko belset noton nebo sugulisiek. Kong'ololi Kindiki en kasarta noton nekaimuch koyai tuyet nebo kibagenge ak stakeholders chebo somanet en ofisit noton nebo Harambee House county nebo Nairobi. Ole kosubkei ak Kindiki komwoe kole en kwenut nebo sugulisiek 9,500 en emet komugul ko sugulisiek 3,200 choton ko chekeruitos na boarding schools ko sugulisiek 200 koketestai keboronji yautik choton chebo atebosiek choton chemaititoyotin ak kokimuch keker alak en sugulisiek choton. Akot kounoton kokimiti Kindiki kole mawendi koyani serikalit nebo emoni kakwautik chebo ng'emet noton nebo tuguk anan malik choton chebo sugul ako komuch konde kakwautik chebo ng'atutik asikeker kele maimuch kong'emak tetutik chebo somanet. Akot kounoton komwoe kora kole kakimuch kinde tetutik chebo keker kele kakimuch kerib chametabgei nebo kipsomaninik. Kamiten en kibagenge Kindiki ak minister en ministry nebo somanet Julius Migosi Ogamba en kwenut noton nebo stakeholders terter en ministry nebo somanet.
The government is very concerned with the current wave of student indiscipline in some of our senior schools. And I think from the outset, we appreciate that 99% of our senior schools are progressing on well. Government appreciates that majority, the overwhelming majority of the schools are doing okay. We have 9,500 schools, out of which 3,200 are boarding schools, and the schools that have been affected are a very tiny minority of boarding schools, mainly senior schools. The government condemns, with the strongest terms possible, acts of indiscipline, especially to the level that has assumed some of the students orchestrating arson that has destroyed property, and in the unfortunate instance of Tumishi Girls Academy has led to the loss of 16 precious young girls who had no mistake and who did not deserve to be harmed by the people so close to them, their own their fellow students. So we will not tolerate, for whatever reason, irrespective of the grievances, any criminality that leads to loss of life, arson, destruction of property, or any
Kitab Kalenjin na kawangune tapke ndaba logoyo chantan ko kagi to Logoiywekab Emet ko inda choko gite tunen side kay Nenyon ko daisy Langat tastangir gite siet na ba Nenyon TV amon Kimii Gaa.
Nenyon TV Kimii Gaa.
Ndereba kole makimuche koket chito karit kou nguni ami safari awendi Rwanda kong'eten Mombasa ako aibe betusiek 5 anan ko 6. One thing korong